Y'all, they are trying to break us down. They're trying to flood our nervous systems with fear, stress, exhaustion. They want us reactive. They want us burnt out. They want us too tired to think, too tired to even come up with a plan, too overwhelmed to fight back. Because the reality of it all, they know people who are stuck in survival mode are easier to control. So if you're out here thinking you're being paranoid, you're not. It's the strategy. Y'all, it's their literally game plan to stress us out so much that we are just like, okay, whatever. But here's the thing. We don't have to play by the rules. This last weekend, Kendrick Lamar did what needed to be done. Like, he just reminded us of all of that. He reminded us that the revolution is now. And this isn't an episode talking about Kendrick and what he did, but I have to mention him because he sparked fire in all of us. Many were woken up by the subtext that we got. If you know that you know. But what I did realize is he sparked a movement because the revolution is now and we each have a role to play. My role? I help us regulate our nervous system. Because a clear mind makes power moves. Because when your nervous system is stuck in survival mode, which is where they want you to be, you can't see the bigger picture. Because rest, ease, breath aren't luxuries. They're weapons. They're our weapons of choice. And when we use them, y'all, we are powerful. So today, I'm giving you 3 ways Black people can regulate their nervous system, and not just in a way that can feel better, but so we can be and stay ready. So we can feel unshakable, so we can feel unbothered, undisturbed. So we can move in a way of power and ease, of groundedness, and not just feeling like we're in survival mode, trying to understand their game strategy. But let us outmaneuver the game they're playing against us. Welcome to the Hello Well with Danielle podcast, your weekly mental vacation from the daily grind for busy women who just need a moment to pause, breathe, and woosah when life feels difficult and they need a little moment of freedom. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. So, nervous system. Why does it matter? Why should you care? Taking care of your nervous system is like taking care of your body's command center. It controls everything from how you handle stress to everyday pressures we face, that feeling of when your nervous system is out of whack, that feeling of always being on edge where you can't relax. That's your nervous system saying, hey, look at me. So again, when you're having a bad day, you're not really having a bad day. You might be feeling that constant on edge. You might be feeling exhausted. You may be feeling, physical tension. It's as if your body is stuck in fight or flight mode, like you're just waiting for that next big thing, that stressor to happen. That's your nervous system. But by tuning into it and caring for your nervous system, you're not only looking after your mental and physical health, but you're also reclaiming your power in a world that wants us on edge, that wants to push all of our limits. And that's why I wanted this podcast episode to give us 3 things that we can do to, hold the line. Taking care of your nervous system is the cheat code for holding the line. It's the cheat code for us being able to be resilient in this time when we are being pushed to limits that we haven't seen before in our lifetime. So the first thing I want to talk about is using rage and making sure that we all know that rage is natural. Anger is natural. Frustration is natural. And they often tell us, okay, just be calm, be graceful, be the bigger person, be humble. But let me ask yourself, where does the rage go? Because it doesn't just go away because you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be quiet, I'm gonna be the good one. Because if you don't allow it to leave your body, if you didn't know this, it's sitting there in your bones, it's sitting there in your spirit. It's waiting to be released. The body doesn't forget. And if it doesn't come out intentionally, it will come out eventually. It'll come out as an illness, pain, anxiety, that shoulder pain you're having, that neck pain you're having, that exhaustion that won't go away no matter how much you quote unquote rest. That's stress collecting interest in your body and in your mind. And y'all, it is killing us, literally. Your nervous system needs to exit. And that's something they don't want you to know, but your nervous system needs a way to release the rage, to release the anger, the frustration. One way to do it is shaking it off. Like whether it's dancing or just shaking your body like you have the nastiest thing on you, move like you are physically shaking off the stress because you are. If you need to scream, scream into a pillow, scream into your car. Let that ish out. And the faster you do it, the better, because if you don't, it will just build up, collecting interest, and it will show up as something that becomes a bigger issue. You can punch something, punch a pillow safely. You can also just jump, do jumping jacks, stomp, move, just do whatever it needs to let your body completely release the stress cycle. Because again, stress and this rage doesn't just disappear on its own. But we can transform it. We can release it by doing these movements. And if we don't guide that transformation, it will take on another form that you really don't want. It will show up in our bodies, our relationships, and our communities. And we don't need more Black women holding on to rage. We don't need more stress-related illnesses like high blood pressure, diabetes, and so many different other things, heart disease. We need movement. We need to release. And we need to stop treating rage like something to be ashamed of. Because y'all, it is natural. And when we're able to release it intentionally, we can clear the space for what's next in our life. Another way I like to work on regulating the nervous system is I think about you got to go backwards to go forward. And what I mean by this is your body and your nervous system hold memory. And I'm not just talking about trauma, because we all know the body holds trauma, but we also hold safety too. The body and the spirit and the nervous system also hold joy. And we forget about that joy. But when we're able to tap into that and remind our nervous systems that safety exists, that's when we can really move mountains and move forward. That we existed before the exhaustion. We existed before the game plan. Well, the game plan's probably been around before our lives. Because I think the game plan started when they started colonizing people, in all honesty. But like, what I'm talking about in this ideal of you got to go backwards to go forward, like remembering that joy, that time before, when your body and the spirit and the nervous system felt safe. I think about those times when, like, I don't know, like, have you ever heard a song from your childhood and suddenly felt ease? Or smelled that dish that reminds you of home for that split second, like everything felt okay. You're watching, for me this weekend, I was watching Different World. I was like, I remember when this was like, just brought me so much joy. Those moments aren't just nostalgic. That's your nervous system recognizing safety. A time before the grind, a time before you were caring so much, a time when your nervous system felt safe. And our ancestors knew it. They knew about this. They used rhythm, they used food, they used ritual to self-regulate. And we still have access to this. So I invite you to, cook something that reminds you of love, that childhood meal that takes you back, not just in taste, but in feeling. Play that music that makes your soul just exhale. Like I watched the Luther Vandross documentary, and listening to Luther, I realized Luther was one of my first sound baths, because when I would hear Luther come on and like certain songs, I felt so calm, and it would actually put me to sleep, because that's what we would listen to when we do long drives. So play those songs that feel like home, that feel like protection, and hold on to something that connects you to your people. A photo, a scent, a family heirloom, something that reminds your nervous system that you're not alone. Y'all, this isn't just about reminiscing. This is regulation. This is telling your nervous system, we are not just our stress. We are not just survival. We have always had joy. We are people of joy. And if we had it before, we can reclaim it now. Your body just needs to remember what safety feels like so you can move forward. And the last invitation, the last invitation I have for you is to quit being the calm one, because it's keeping you in survival mode. Being the peacemaker, the strong friend, the problem solver, the fixer. I know the fixer very well. Y'all, it is keeping your nervous systems in lockdown, like you are in a prison. You don't even realize it. Like if you hear yourself saying, like I feel drained every time I answer the phone, or I feel like on edge when I get a text message. You stay quiet to keep the peace. You're always the one people call, but no one's checking in on you. If that resonates with you at all, if that sounds familiar, your body and your nervous system are paying a price that you don't really want to be paying, because it's costly. Always being the strong one doesn't make you safe. It keeps you in survival mode. Always being the calm one, the peacekeeper, it isn't noble. It's a trauma response. So I invite you to switch it up and instead say, that's not my job. And saying that, it's not rude. It's a nervous system reset. I invite you to say sometimes, or a little bit more, I can't take this on right now. And saying that isn't selfish. It's a way to protect your energy. Or, my favorite, just say nothing and let them figure it out. And then pay attention to what happens to your body when you say these things. Listen to your body when you stay in that mode of being the calm one, the peacemaker. Does your chest feel tight? Do your shoulders feel like they're starting to rise? Does your stomach clench? Because that's a sign that you have been taking on too much. That's a sign that your nervous system is like, I'm feeling a little bit off, or a lot off. I'm not saying do all these at once. I'm always a believer in doing bite-sized changes. So start testing with doing one tiny boundary. Maybe it's ignoring a text that can wait. Maybe it's, seeing how your body reacts when you do that. Because if you're not a landing pad for everyone's problems, that's when you're starting to live. That's when you're starting to regulate your nervous systems. Because you're not a battery for people to drain. Whether that's news, your job, your family, your friends, politics. You're allowed to let go. And when you do, all I can tell you is watch how your body exhales for maybe the first time in years. And you are worthy. I don't need to tell you you're worthy of it, because you know you're worthy of it. But we've been taught to stay on edge. We've been trained to stay on edge because that's what they want from us. They want us to feel on edge. Listen, every day they are pushing stress onto us like it's a drug. Because it's a war that they're playing. Through the news, through their policies. They're trying to cancel Black History Month. They're trying to erase us from the history books. Through daily microaggressions, and we can't afford to just absorb it. A regulated nervous system is how we're going to fight back. It's how we're going to hold the line. How we're going to stay grounded. Because when you regulate your nervous system, you stop being a puppet to stress. You stop being their puppet. You stop reacting to every headline, every attack, every piece of bad news meant to keep us on edge. And instead, you start moving differently. You start choosing your battles. You start playing the long game, which Kendrick was trying to tell us in all of his messages in that Super Bowl. And that's what we need to do, because they don't want us to do this. They don't want us to take back our control. So take these 3 tools and use them. And if you want more, I got you. I've put together a free guide of 7 ways that you can regulate your nervous system today for the culture. And it's called Undisturbed. Because right now, I need us to be undisturbed by everything that's happening around us externally, taking back our power, taking back our control. Because this isn't just about self-care. This is about survival. And not being in survival mode, but surviving a game that we didn't create, but we can out-strategize. This is our strategy. This is our revolution. Thank you for joining me. And if this meant something to you, please share this with someone who needs to hear this, because this message needs to get out. We need to start mobilizing and using our gifts to be the revolution that is needed right now. I'll see you guys next week. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you like hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.